Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Front-End Frameworks Showdown. Today we are diving deep into the world of reactivity. In the context of front-end development, reactivity refers to how frameworks handle changes and updates in the user interface. It is a crucial aspect that can greatly impact the performance and user experience of web application. So, let's explore how Angular, React, Svelte and Vue handle reactivity in their respective frameworks. Let's start with Angular. Open your Angular project with Visual Studio Code. We will work in our Vue component. And now inside Vue.component.ts file, let's declare a form data property. Form data. It will be object and it will contain username, that will be an empty string, and password, that will be another empty string. Okay, now take a div at the top of the component. We want to take another div, and here we want to display username, form data dot username, and password, form data dot password. Okay, now after that we want to take another div. Here we want to have two inputs. Let's say input type equal text. Set it to placeholder, so we don't want to do a lot of things, and it will be password. Now to show the reactivity in Angular, we will do one thing, that we will bind this form data dot username and form data dot password with this two input field, so that when we type username, it will automatically update our user interface and show the input field's value here as username and password. So now we want to bind the reactive data with our component. To do that, we will have to register forms module into our ng module. To do that, we will have to import forms module from at angular/form, and we will have to register it. You can do that by injecting it to imports. That's it. Now we have registered our forms module, so it will enable Angular to handle form data. Now to bind this form data dot username with this input fields, we can take a square brackets. Inside the square bracket, we can take a parenthesis. Then we will write ng model equal. Now we want to provide the form data dot username property to bind with this input field. We want to do the same thing for our password field, but instead of username it will be password. Now start your Angular server. Open it into browser. Now write anything into username field. You can see our user interface is updating automatically and almost instantly. Actually it nearby 0 times. You can do that for password also. So using ng model, Angular will bind your data with your forms, and you can also make changes to any state data using any function or method. And if you use text interpolation into your HTML file, then it will automatically update your user interface. So that's it. That's how Angular handle reactivity, but it is not all. You will have to learn a lot of things about Angular reactivity because Angular handles reactivity using Zone.js that is very much CPU intensive. So you will have to take care of reactivity by separating components to keep your application faster. Now let's jump into React application. Open your React application with Visual Studio Code. We will work here into our Vue components. So now what we want to do is we want to render a form, same thing like we have done in Angular. To do that, take a div. Inside the div, we will take another div, and here we will write username, take a break, duplicating it, password. Well, for reactive data, React.js provide useState hook. We can import useState from React. Now we will have to use this useState hook to create our reactive data. We can do this by creating useState. We will have to provide our initial state. So username equal empty string and password equal empty string. Now it provides actually an 2 items in array. First item will be our getter of this state. We can name it form data, and second one will be setter of our state. Now we can use this form data. Form data dot username and form data dot password. Now we want to make a form, and inside that form we will bind the data. I am taking a form. Text placeholder will be username. I will take a break and duplicating it. Well, now you will have to change the state data using this set form data. If you are using any primitive data type as our reactive data, then you can simply set your form data using by providing this form data. But in this case we are using object, so we cannot do that. React.js does not support mutation of data. We will have to reset this total state. So if we want to update this state, we will have to listen on change event. It will provide us event, and using that event we can set form data by restructuring form data, then password equal e dot target dot value. Okay, we will have to do the same thing for our username field. But in case we will have to set username. So we are not mutating our data, we are returning a new set of data. Well, now if you make any changes here, then it will be reflected on the UI. Same thing goes here. But if you think that why we don't just do this thing here, form data dot username equal e dot target dot value. If we do that, then it will not update our UI. See where it is not updating. So you will have to keep in mind that when you are working with React, then you cannot mutate data. So that's it. Now let's jump into Svelte application. Open your Svelte application with Visual Studio Code. Now open your Vue component. Here we want to do the same thing. We are taking a div, and inside the div we are taking another div. Well, before that, let's declare our form data. We can do that by using const form data equal username empty string and password empty string. That's it. It is just vanilla JavaScript, and we can show this form data dot username. Maybe we will take a break. Okay, now we will take another div, and here we will handle input changes. In Svelte, it is pretty much straightforward. We will just write bind, then we want to bind value, then we will provide form data dot username, and for password we will do the same thing, bind value form data dot password. That's it. Now Svelte will take care of everything. Let's check it, and you can see it is always updating our user interface according to our input. So that's how Svelte managed to handle reactivity in its framework. Finally, we will explore how reactivity works in Vue.js application. Open your Vue.js application with Visual Studio Code, and here you will do the same thing. So take a div, take another div, here we want to show this username. In Vue.js, we have multiple options to create reactive data. For instance, we will use reactive. So const form data equal reactive, and Vue.js, we are importing reactive from Vue.js, and here we will assign username equal empty string and password equal empty string. Now you want to use text interpolation to display those data. So form data dot username, password. Well, now we will take another div, and here we will just take an input field, placeholder username, placeholder password. Now we want to bind this form data.username and form data.password to those input fields. To do that, we have vModel, and this is a directive, and this directive will take care of binding reactive data with your input fields. So we are binding our form data.username with this field, and we will do the same thing for password field also, but instead of username it will be our password. That's it. Now let's start our Vue.js application, and here it is our Vue.js application, and you can see we are updating our user interface automatically. Now let's talk about another options that comes with Vue.js. We have another option for rep. In reactive data, you cannot reassign complete data with the variable. Just you can change its properties value. In any case, if you need to completely set new state, at that time you can use rep. So if you use rep, then you will have to update data by this way, form data.value.password, but it is only for on JavaScript side. But if you are using on template part, then you will not have to use the form data.value.username. So if you are in template part, then you can directly access form data.username, form data.password. Well, we have some another options. Those are shallow rep. We have shallow reactive. We have custom rep. So for shallow rep, shallow reactive and custom rep, it will be necessary when you are handling a lot of data and you don't want be reactivity for all of those data. Maybe you are facing a lots of data from API to show into a data table. At that time you don't need reactive to store that data. At that time you can just use shallow rep or shallow reactive, and using this custom rep you can create your own reactive data type. So that's how Vue.js handle reactivity. For today it's all. In the next episode we will be discussing about props and events. I will see you in the next episode. Have a good day.